What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mississippi Real Estate Podcast, hosted by Ryan Watson.
And I'm Tripp, where it's all about real life, real talk, and real estate.
Join us as we dive into the stories, trends, and insider tips shaping the world of Mississippi real estate.
Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or you're just curious about the market, we've got all the insights you need to navigate with confidence. So if y'all are ready, let's get real.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Mississippi Real Estate Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Corey Rogers, and he owns 3D Plumbing. And we're so glad for you to be here today.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm good, tired. Newborn baby at the house. Gonna be a week old today. First boy. So a lot of different, we have 4 girls. So having boys a little new for everybody. Yeah. But it's going great so far.
So y'all had him at home, right?
We did, yes. Yeah.
Holy moly. How many of that had? 3?
Yeah, we've had the last 3 at home. It's fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we love it.
What is that
I can't imagine.
experience like?
So the first one was scary because the first 2 we had were at the hospital. And, so there's always that concern of safety, that do you have a backup plan in case things go wrong? So after the first one, you go through and you meet the midwife and you talk about the backup plans, talk about all the procedures that go into place, kind of eases your stress. And I mean, I wasn't the one pushing it out, so I didn't really have a say.
No,
Whatever is more
you're the
comfortable
one getting
for
yelled
her.
at. Get out of the room. Get out of
That's
here.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, after that first meeting we had, and I was kind of brought back down and felt comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was fantastic. I mean, it's really no different than
Being
having an OBGYN and going to the hospital. You get all your
So-
checkups and everything, and it's
Is there
kind of-
more? Is there more than like a midwife? I mean, there's got to be other nurses.
Yeah,
Who
so
else is involved?
we had a midwife, and then she has 2 birthing assistants that comes, and they
Yeah.
bring a whole medical cart with everything. It's all set up. We just did it, right on the bed. So it was
on
great.
your bed you sleep in.
Yeah, so they set it up to where we do the sheets, and then you cover it like a mattress cover,
Okay.
and then you put
Okay.
sheets and blankets on top of
Okay.
This is
that, as like a protectant.
Okay.
this is a lot.
Yeah, but
That makes a lot.
As
really.
a
All right.
borderline germaphobe, I would be like, we
Yeah.
got to get a new bed.
You are definitely
No,
a
it's-
borderline.
yeah, like
no,
I said,
I think you would be a germaphobe.
they
You're
clean up everything
No, I'm just
afterwards. But as far as the comfort level of just my wife having
Yeah.
the baby,
At
because
home.
when you're in a hospital, you're stuck on the bed.
Yes.
You can't eat, you can't move around, you can't change positions.
Yeah.
I mean, she was getting up, walking around, took a shower to help,
Wow.
and so it's just totally different as far as mobility and access.
Yeah.
And the last one, all the girls were at home too. So they kept coming in the room and wanting to say hi to mommy, so they can be more involved.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because at a
yeah.
hospital now,
That
after
could be-
COVID, you can only have 2 people in the room.
Oh,
Yeah.
still?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then once you leave, you can't swap out. Like if it's me and say my mom are there, if I leave, her mom couldn't come in. It's the 2 people that are there, are the 2 people that can come in. That's it until the
Wow.
baby is born. So I have to
Wow.
say, we had my mom was there, her mom, her grandmother, her dad was not in the room but there, and all the girls. So
Yeah.
Wow.
it was a whole family
So
event.
you've got 2 girls and now a little boy.
No,
you got
4 girls.
4 girls.
4
Okay,
girls.
thought it was a
I
lot.
remember when I started getting to know Corey and I was learning
4
about his family. I
girls.
was like, wow, you got a lot of kids. And I said, you need a boy dog or something.
It was, I have a boy dog, so it was just really me and him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have a female dog. There's a lot of estrogen and
It
emotion
is.
in
But,
my house.
but now you got a partner in crime.
That's right.
But let me ruin something for you.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
going to turn into a mommy's boy at some point.
Oh, I'm
and you're going to be
sure.
like, what the heck,
Yeah.
dude?
Yes.
But it goes in cycles.
Yeah, because
just like the girls.
All my girls are daddy's girls.
Well, there you go. You got
Yeah,
your
so
team. And
So
so maybe mama has her team now.
That's
So-
right.
so you've got 4 girls and you just had another girl?
No,
he
Or
had a
this is a
boy.
little boy.
The
that
little
you-
Are you
boy.
paying attention?
Okay. Yes, I am paying attention.
you saw the
All right.
picture.
So
Yeah.
now
That
so
was a
now
blue
you-
cat, not a pink cat.
All right, so I'm gathering all the information here. So you've got 4 girls and then you had a little boy. Tell us about this miracle baby. Tell us about what happened with
Yes. So one of the beauties
Oh,
of
this is
having it
crazy.
at home is as a father, you get to be more involved. So when he came out, I actually pulled him out and caught him, which was pretty awesome. Be the first person
Yeah.
to touch your kid.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
miracle in itself.
It is. The crazy thing was when he came out, his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck 5
Oh,
times.
Wow.
But he didn't come out blue, had no breathing problems. I mean, as I was holding him, he was crying as the midwife is unwrapping the umbilical cord, but no issues. It wasn't luckily tight around his neck, but absolute miracle.
Did you have a sense? Yeah. Did you have a sense of panic? I would have been like, this is not this is a problem.
No, I didn't even really know what was happening until she's like 3 wraps out. I mean, because I'm pulling him and holding him, and all she said is just don't move. So I'm just like, oh, okay, you're just in the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really didn't even realize what was going on until I looked down and she's taking all these things off his neck.
Wow.
But I mean, then I finally realized, and I'm like, well, he's not blue when he's crying, so thank God he was fine. Hasn't had any issues.
Praise the Lord for sure. I mean,
but definitely a miracle baby.
He's beautiful and healthy. I saw a picture of him.
Yes.
It's a beautiful little boy. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're very excited.
Thanks for being here. Excuse me. I know that you obviously got a newborn at the house, and I know your plumbing business is, you're always on go, kind of like us, 100 miles an hour. Yeah. So we appreciate you spending time with us and sharing some of that story, your family. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yes.
So obviously you don't have this country redneck hick sounding voice like me and Tripp does. So why don't you tell us where you're from and a little bit about your story?
Yes, sir. So I been kind of all over the country, really on the east side. I was actually born in Pennsylvania, but I grew up down in Florida. Grew up down in like Tampa, St. Pete area.
Okay.
In Florida. My dad was a contractor, so growing up, I worked a lot with him. It's kind of got me into the trades. Yeah. I didn't even go to school for plumbing. I actually went to college for mechanical engineering. Was my initial major. Yeah. Didn't really like that after a little while. Transferred over to law enforcement.
Okay. Hey, we got another back to blue.
Criminal justice, yep. So I actually was a...
we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was a game warden down in Florida for a little while.
Okay.
Got out of that and actually moved up to Maryland for a couple of years. And that's really when I got into plumbing. Like I said, I grew up, my dad was a contractor, so we did a lot of home renovations. So we had a plumbing side of the company. So I worked with the plumbers, but not really, 100%, kind of split. But when I moved up to Maryland, got into commercial plumbing. Doing all new builds. We strictly did commercial. Did that for a couple of years, and then the family we had in Maryland were moving down to Mississippi. Well, I didn't really want to go down to Florida, and my wife's born and raised in Texas. We're like, hey, happy medium, grandparents in Texas, grandparents in Florida. My mom and stepdad were here in Mississippi, so we came here back in 2019. Okay. Been here ever since.
Thank you, grandparents.
Yes.
Because now I have an exceptional plumber. Yeah. That I can call and trust.
He's very exceptional. And I'll tell y'all in a minute a story about him coming to my actual house and doing some work recently that really worked out wonderful.
Yeah, we can shoot some testimonials at the end of this thing for sure.
For sure.
So did you leave Florida as a game warden and go to Maryland? Because that's where you see the show. Maryland's high on that show.
Yeah, so I ended up getting out of being a game warden.
Oh, in Florida.
In Florida.
Okay.
Yes. Got out of that, and it was kind of like I said, we'd either go back down to Florida or go up with them. And we just chose to, listen, I've never really been to Maryland, and neither had my wife, so we thought we'd try. Same thing when we came to Mississippi. I'd never even driven through the state of Mississippi. So that was the first time I came down here was the first time I'd been here.
It's like, wow, look at all these pine trees.
Look at all this scenery.
Well, going from Maryland down here, I was like, where are all the people? There's no, traffic here would be like a stop sign up there. Because there's just not very many people down here.
Yeah.
So totally different.
I feel totally the opposite way of that. Like, I'm born and raised here. And I was just going down Old Town Road the other day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this place has gotten too big." You know what I mean? I'm panicking about coming through Flowwood and Dogwood Promenade area.
But we're from here,
and I'm like, man, avoid these places at 5. But then I've had buddies go to Atlanta or other places you say, and then it takes you,
trying to get through
an hour to go a mile and a half. Or something.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
I wouldn't picture Maryland being like that though.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I think there's 8 million people that live in Maryland, and it's like a quarter the size of Mississippi. Yeah. So you're just condensed.
Wow. So it seems like from what I've never been to Maryland. I don't know. Yeah. But it seems like from TV and magazines, it's a beautiful country. But you run into a lot of people.
Yeah, you have to go kind of like West Maryland. Okay. Because where I was at, I was about right in between Baltimore and DC. I was about 30, 35 minutes from both. Well, that's all kind of the suburbs of those major cities. But they're packed in. I mean, nobody really has land, small houses, so you are just condensed population. But yeah, you're right. You go out west, Maryland, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You get some, not really mountains, but more hill country. It's gorgeous out there.
How long were you in Maryland?
So we were in Maryland from 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
So yeah, we're like about three and a half years by the time we moved down here.
Yeah. Okay. So you haven't been here
No, it was 5 years back in November.
And you've got an exploding plumbing business. So I would say you've done exceptionally well marketing yourself and growing that thing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Okay, so you moved to Florida. You're not a game warden anymore. You go to Maryland, and so that's when you decide get back in the trade.
Yeah. So
how and why plumbing?
So when we first moved up there, didn't have a job lined up. We actually moved in with my mom and stepdad. And then after a couple months, I had to get a job. So I found a job being a maintenance technician at an apartment complex. Was there for just over a year. Wasn't really liking it. Didn't really see any growth potential in that. Well, my wife actually had a Bible study with a woman who her husband owned a commercial plumbing company.
Okay.
And they were looking for plumbers. So I had an interview with him, started doing that, and worked with him for about 2.5 years doing all commercial plumbing and really absolutely learning and growing a passion for plumbing. I worked with phenomenal plumbers in that company that just were passionate about what they did. So it really just kind of put a fire in me to want to do that. And I love to learn. I'm kind of like a plumbing nerd now. I look up all kinds of specs on new stuff, and it just grew all of that into me.
I'll say this too, as a son of or a grandson of a grandfather who was in construction, plumbing is not just pipes of just one size with water going through it or going out of it or whatever. There's a whole lot more
absolutely
to plumbing than you would expect. It is, I found that out, like I said, about my house recently when you came by.
That's right.
I keep bringing that up, but I can't wait to tell y'all the story. It was
I actually have
appreciate you.
I have a question to piggyback off that. But I'm gonna let him go in. I want him to finish a little bit more of that with the commercial guy, because that was.
I cut you off a little bit.
No, I think that's great because I feel like I got a great question about the plumbing world. But before we get to that question, and we'll get back to it, when you started with the commercial guys up there, were you okay just to come on and or did you have to go get the license immediately? Like go to the school, the journeyman license or something?
Yeah, so Maryland's a little different than Mississippi. The way Maryland works is if you can just show up and be like a day laborer kind of thing. Yeah. But if you want to progress in plumbing, you actually have to go to the state and get an apprentice license.
Okay.
And it's time stamped. So like the day you get it starts the time, and it's 4 years you have to be an apprentice working under a master plumber before you can even take your journeyman license.
Oh, before you even take the test?
Yes.
4 years?
Yeah, so it's like going to college, essentially. So it's 4 years to get your journeyman.
That's pretty good.
That shows you there's more to plumbing than just a couple pipes and fittings.
And then to get a master plumber, you have to, once you get your journeyman, you have to work an additional 2 years to get your master license. So like I said, it's literally like going to college. You have 4 years to get your bachelor journeyman, and then an additional 2 years to get your master license. So I had an apprentice license up there that I was working towards before we moved down here. But in Mississippi, it's not that way. You can, if you study the book for a month and a half, you could go down to the state and take the test.
Yeah.
A lot less red tape.
A lot less red tape.
A lot about Mississippi.
Well,
we can redneck that.
Yeah, it's the same.
I did my deer camp. What's wrong with this house?
That's right.
Water's going out. It's fine.
It's the same test. It's a national test that I took. So it's the same test. They just don't require that much time in between. When you can take it.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think clearly there's a lot of good plumbers in the state of Mississippi as well.
Absolutely.
I make the redneck joke just because I can't do crap with plumbing.
I know
no pun intended.
I know very minimal about it, but I know enough to be dangerous. But long story short, so did your time up there of doing that, did that kind of set the stage or the standard for you of how you wanted to be a plumber? how you wanted to approach it here?
I think so. It definitely, I think it set me aside
Mhm.
from some of the plumbers that I met when I first moved here.
Yeah.
Because there's really not don't get me wrong, there's definitely commercial plumbing that happens in Mississippi, but I feel like the standard up in Maryland was just a little higher of what we had to deal with, especially when you're working in much larger cities, like when we go down to DC. The requirements there and the standards that they had for in DC area you were so highly scrutinized as a commercial plumber. So it really, you had to be on your toes. There was no duct tape or redneck engineering up in Maryland. It was by the book every time.
That makes me cringe at what you possibly have seen down here, and you're like, oh my goodness.
If nothing else, plumbers in Mississippi are creative. They're very resourceful. When I say plumbers with quotation, people that call themselves plumbers are very creative down here. But yeah, so it kind of set me up of the plumber I wanted to be while being up in Maryland. And when I came down here, I started working for a company that does mainly service work, a little bit commercial. And what was really cool about that company is you kind of are your own boss in a way. So it's commission-based pay, and they give you your schedule, but you can add to your own schedule. You're required, on doing all the billing, keeping track of all the paperwork. So it really kind of was a segue for me to be my own company or to get my own company because it was practice. So it was fantastic. I was with them for about 2 years, and then we opened up 3D Plumbing back in August of 2021. Is when we started.
Man, it sounds like, everything was setting up for you to be an entrepreneur in this. You know what I mean? And you had the apprenticeship, and then you moved in the middle of that. You can get your journeyman's license down here pretty much immediately.
So I didn't even go ahead and get the journeyman license because in Mississippi it's not required. Oh wow! You don't have to go journeyman to master.
You don't?
Yeah.
No, you can just.
That's only in Maryland where.
Yeah. In Mississippi, you
where
can
they really
just,
do plumbing.
Yeah.
You're gonna get in trouble. We believe in our plumbers in Mississippi.
Yes, absolutely.
We do.
So, are you looking to get your master's, or
I already have it?
Okay.
Oh yes, okay. Yeah. So I have it. So, and that's the other thing. So in Mississippi, you can open up a plumbing company without a license. You just cannot.
That's a bad idea.
Well, so they limit you, so you can't do any jobs over $10,000.
Okay.
So you are limited on what you're allowed to do, and you can't pull any permits. So there's really, if you want to do a plumbing company, you're basically a service plumber, which I was. So yeah, I opened up in August of 21, and then I ended up getting my master license in February of 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was only open for 4 or 5 months before I got my master.
Wow.
So you're talking about all this commercial. I know you as a residential plumber. Do you still do commercial here?
We do what we consider like light commercial.
Okay.
So we won't do. I've had a lot of contractors call me that they're doing big office buildings, or I've had a couple call me to do like new gas stations popping up. We don't have the manpower to do that, and I just have a residential master license. So I am still limited, but now I'm limited to up to $50,000 of what I do. So like commercial, we have done a couple like smaller, like dentist office, doctor's office kind of thing. We'll put in like 2 little bathrooms and maybe like a kitchenette, something like that. Where we don't really do new
Something
construction, new
that's
builds.
similar to residential.
Exactly, in a smaller scale. We typically focus on. We do a lot of residential additions, renovations. We do a lot with contractors that are doing bathroom, kitchen remodels, or if somebody wants to like do a pool and they want a fireplace by the pool, or we do the gas lines for the pool heaters. We do a lot of stuff like that.
Okay.
We do offer service work as well. We do a lot on that.
Yeah. Cool. Do you do residential new builds? Are you in on that?
Or
are you like, I'm avoiding that?
I'm not really avoiding it.
Yeah.
I've thought about it. It's hard to compete with the
bigger crews, maybe.
Well, the companies that have been doing it for a lot longer, and they have larger crews. It's hard to compete with their pricing.
Yeah,
it really is. A lot of the home builders in this area pay not really what plumbers are worth. The renovation side, the service side is a much more profitable enterprise than doing new construction. Then they'll tell you, well, it's quantity quantity over quality as far as how much you're getting paid. I'm like, no, well, it's still going to take me all this time to do it.
Right.
I'd rather just do the service work and the renovations. I get a lot of satisfaction after doing that.
Yeah, I got you.
I imagine it is hard to compete with some of these bigger plumbing companies doing these residential. I mean, all the spec houses and stuff that they do. I mean, they're just throwing plumbing in there. I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but I feel like a lot of times they're just throwing plumbing in there and making it work for now and moving on to the next one. I mean, I actually want to tell y'all a story. I'm about to die to tell y'all a story about him coming to my house. I'm not gonna tell y'all about. I'm gonna go ahead and tell him.
He can't wait to get the testimony out. To
I
the
can't.
end. All right, give
I can't wait. I
give
gotta
your
tell y'all.
testimony about
I'm about
Corey.
to lose my mind.
Oh my gosh.
So, and this just speaks volumes right here for Corey. I'm serious because because we're talking about it right now, new construction stuff. But I've got a new construction house. We've been in it for a little over a year now, almost 2 years, and it shows you how time flies. But I mean, I've had the plumber that I hired to do our house come out several times to look at our plumbing to figure out why we had a certain issue that was going on, trying to figure out what was wrong with it. And I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, "Oh, I remember it was our friend Brandon." Brandon said, "Man, you need to call Corey. You need to call Corey." And this is my first experience with Corey ever. I was like, "Well, who's Corey?" He's like, "Oh man, he's awesome. He's great. You need to call him, man. He's very personal, great guy." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll call him." And because we needed to do something, we needed to run a camera down through there and see what was going on because nobody could fix this issue that we were having. And this is a new house.
Mm-hmm.
And so Corey came out there immediately. He gets out, meet him. I find out, I'm like, man, this dude knows what he's doing. Great guy. He pulls out this amazing camera gear thing and he runs this camera down through there, and I'm watching on the screen and we're looking at everything through the pipes, and he's like, man, I don't see anything on here. And anyways, we come to the conclusion, he finds the issue, and our issue had to do with the venting that was going out from, because, I mean, it's like, he explained it this way, actually. I think I got this from you. When you put your finger over a straw in your tea, and you hold it and you pick it up, well, the water's just sitting there in the straw. So that's basically what my plumbing was doing, because the ventilation that they did, I had a shower, a freestanding tub, and a toilet, basically, and it may have been just two of them. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was not enough ventilation. And so, you know, when you have that, then you have things that start backing up and water just sits there.
Yeah.
And we're all scratching our head going, what in the world? And he came over there, found it immediately, figured out what it was, fixed the problem, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So
yeah, if you don't have airflow, then it won't drain.
I guess I never realized ventilation was a
very
part
important.
of
Absolutely.
a problem.
Very
Yeah, as that water goes down the drain, you have to be able to pull in air behind it, or it'll just basically create like a little vacuum. It'll just hold that water still.
Wow.
Majority of
I did not know
the PVC pipes you see coming out of the roof are probably on houses are probably ventilation, right?
They're all ventilation,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
sir.
Well, all of them are ventilation. I guess they're all depending
Yeah,
on what they're
it's all
ventilating.
basically air intakes.
But for plumbing, I guess, yeah.
I'm going to say that I knew what those were, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
now you know. But no, it's
So how do you fix the vent problem?
So there's several ways. The way we did it was pretty genius.
Yeah, so there's pretty invasive ways, and then there's less invasive ways. We luckily found
I heard the more expensive way and the cheaper way.
Yep, there you go. Invasive, expensive. It's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so luckily the plumber, what he did do right was put 2 cleanouts on the house.
Yeah.
One by the toilet and one by the shower.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there was not enough venting, we just turned those cleanouts into vents.
Yep.
And they have what are called air admittance valves, which is basically a one-way air intake to where it allows air to come in but no sewer gas to come out. And we, like I said, converted those cleanouts to vents,
really
and
it
no
was
issue.
No backup
It was
problems.
either that option or
tearing up
my
drywall.
concrete.
Absolutely.
and and digging down and add another pipe.
See, I'd have gone straight into the net. I'm like, we got to rip up a concrete. Blah, blah. I tend to sometimes panic on something.
I know.
And we did,
I know you know.
Yeah.
and we did a little bit for a moment, and then I called him. I was like, all right, we got to figure something out.
Yeah.
But he did, and so I feel like I'm in debt to you, and because
Oh
of
no,
No,
you
you paid your debt.
because of
You paid your
Well, did I send you an invoice?
that's another thing. I don't know. Did you send me?
Oh my God! We were talking earlier before the show. Like Corey said he met our broker Clay and talking about how Clay's like, yeah, I know you did work for me. He's like, I had to beg you to send me an invoice. And we're like, he makes so much money. He doesn't
So
even
there
care
you
about
go. When you
I don't
hire
even
him,
care about the
you
invoice.
may or may not get an invoice.
That's right.
So-
50-50,
The
honestly.
first one may be free.
Yeah.
That's a lie. By the
No,
way.
that is a lie. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I appreciate you. Yeah. All that to say, you did a wonderful job.
Thank
and
you,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
you. And I hope other people and our listeners that are listening to this will call Corey, and we're gonna put his information at the end of this, and y'all come see him with any of your plumbing needs. Our real estate agents, y'all call him too, because
I feel like you're wrapping this thing
I'm
up.
not wrapping it
already.
up.
Good
No,
Lord. Man, that man, are you man crushing?
some people may not watch to the end. So
That's true.
I'm
Well, that's a
trying to-
good plug.
that was a good plug.
Speaking of plugs, how did you come up with 3D?
That's a good question. So it's a play on words from a couple different things.
Okay.
So when I first started the company, I had 3 daughters.
Okay.
So that was the first start of
We're
it.
changing the name already. I see where it's going.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I've had so many people. Oh, when I had my 4th daughter, change it to 4D.
4D.
And now that I have a boy, they're like 4D, 1B, and I'm like, that's
Oh
just too
my
many
gosh.
letters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it started, like I said, 3 daughters.
Yeah.
We also do water, sewer, gas. So there's
Okay.
kind of like 3
Okay.
little subsection departments of it. And then, like I said earlier, I'm kind of a plumbing nerd.
Yeah.
So water has 3 states: a solid,
Okay.
a liquid, and a gas. So kind of all
Yeah,
just
so
kind
that's
of
a
join.
three-play again.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Where's the D come in?
Well, that would be the daughters.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Three-
the daughters.
three
Okay,
daughters,
okay.
yes.
But, and
Wow,
if you're
man,
a
I missed
Christian
that
too,
one.
you got the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You
There we
got
go.
all that stuff. If you wanted to get into all
That-
that,
you can just
Off the
keep going.
Trinity up in
That's
that
right.
boy.
I throw the Trinity in a gumbo.
Oh my gosh, there we go. That's right. Well, I want to know. So you're a plumber, and then I think it's a. I listen to Mike Rowe a lot, and I loved his Dirty Show job.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think the trades are definitely like looked. I don't know if they're looked down upon as much as they used to be, but I feel like we kind of got away from that.
Yeah.
So what's your most?
Yeah.
What's the most typical stereotype you get someone when you say, "Hey, I'm a plumber," and they're like, "Oh, what's the
So,
perception
yeah,
as you
it
being a plumber?"
It depends on where you're at. So when we were in Maryland, Maryland is very expensive to live there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people make a lot of money up in Maryland. So as far as being looked down upon, I felt that a lot heavier up in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in an area, like I said, we first moved in with my parents. They made a lot more money than I did. Their house is a lot nicer than I didn't even have a house. So that whole neighborhood was people that made pretty decent money. Well, when they found out that I was a plumber, it was a little harder for us to kind of make friends in that area.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Because I like to say, people up in Maryland, the first 2 questions they'll ask you is, what's your name and what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
Because if you don't make as much or more money than they do, not always,
Yeah.
but they kind of, they kind of push you to the side a little bit.
Yeah. Throw a cold shoulder to you a little bit.
Absolutely. Down in Mississippi, it's, what's your name? What church do you go to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third one is you know so and so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know Tripp's from too.
Yeah.
Golly.
We did do that.
We did do that, yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's
So
easy.
it's a lot different down here. It's a lot more blue collar down in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I-
But man, blue collar or not, I mean, plumbers, you've
And
got
that-
your own business. I mean,
that's
but
true.
plumbing is a good trade. It is a
Absolutely.
good paying job. I mean, you can make good money doing what you do.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of flipped within the last probably
Yeah.
5 years or so, where plumbers are actually making pretty decent money. A lot of plumbers make more money than college grads.
Than
Yeah.
real
I
estate
mean, they
agents.
For sure, real.
So I feel as though it's flipped, and there's been a big push for blue collar employees because there's a big generational gap.
Yeah.
I think Mike Rowe had even said, I was watching him a couple years ago. He was saying in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be on a deficit of like 2 million trade workers that are going to be retiring.
Yeah.
We have to fill that gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I know guys that's in your profession. I got buddies that are electricians, and I know some that build houses, and man, they do well.
Yep,
they all
really
do well. I mean, work hard, absolutely,
Yeah.
but they do really well.
And it's definitely not easy to get started.
Yeah.
To do well. I mean,
Yeah.
Mississippi is a huge word of mouth.
Yeah.
I have more customers that tell me, well, kind of like yours.
Yeah.
I got your number from so and so, and they
Yeah.
said you did really well.
Yeah.
Or you did work for my aunt,
Yeah.
and you did a good job at her house.
Mhm.
We get a lot of customers from that.
Referral
Like we do
base.
marketing,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is just
Yeah.
word of mouth. So when you're first starting, to do well, you have to do well. You have to please
Yeah.
all of your customers, because in Mississippi, if you mess up on this customer, you might as well just cancel that entire
Yeah.
neighborhood, because they're going to tell everybody
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
you did a
Yeah.
bad job.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel the same way in what we do.
Yep.
I mean,
100%.
that's with him in photography too.
We talk about this all the time.
real estate. Real estate's a big one. I mean, we
Mhm.
our business does not survive if we don't have the referrals.
No,
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to
Um,
be honest.
Insurance.
You have to be trustworthy for
I
sure.
get tons. I mean, it's referrals. People that have done a good job, and you obviously do a good job. And I know I've used you a ton, and I've referred you out a ton. And so
Mhm.
just don't mess
Yes,
up.
sir.
Don't get I'll give you a little grace. I mess up all the time. So if I mess
No,
up,
no.
I think people should give grace. I mean, it's,
Yep.
we're only human, but you're right.
Yeah.
It is a big word of
Yeah.
mouth. I mean,
It
and it
is.
is who you know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of competition down here.
Mhm.
There's a lot of plumbing companies down here. So
Yeah.
if you want to do well, you have to
Mhm.
stand out.
Do you feel like people go, oh, I see like the ones that are like the big, I guess, franchise type scheme. I don't know if schemes is franchise or whoever. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they
do
are.
you find it's hard to compete with them, or you feel like actually?
It depends on what we're doing. So
Yeah.
we, besides word of mouth, we do a lot on Facebook. We get referred a lot on Facebook.
Yes.
Basically, I mean, word of mouth, but just online.
Yeah.
And I have noticed that when somebody goes on a page and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for a plumber,"
Do you get blown up?
we get blown up a lot. But then when you get the larger companies that are in the area, and we don't always win that
Sure.
discussion, but we get a lot of
Yeah.
those.
At least you get an
customers.
at bat.
Absolutely.
And that's what we ask for. We
Yep.
just want a referral. Like, we just want the listed appointment. We want to talk to a buyer about helping them. Just give me that bat.
Yeah.
If I don't win it, okay, I'll get the next one. Maybe it didn't work out.
And we are, I think one of the biggest reasons we, are doing well as a company is we're just not very expensive compared to other companies. Like the,
When you don't
Yeah.
send them invoices, then
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the cheapest you can get, right?
That's right.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But I've heard of pricing from other companies, ones that are similar to my size and ones that are franchise.
Right.
And in my opinion, they're just astronomical.
Yeah.
And I would feel terrible charging a customer that whatever that price is compared to my price.
Right.
That's just I just couldn't sleep like that.
Yeah, you want to sleep at night.
Yeah, I'm
man.
not trying to get rich off of one customer.
No.
You want the referral. You want the 3 to
Yeah.
5 people he's gonna refer
Absolutely.
he or she will refer you
Absolutely.
to. Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. Well, people may be like, what in the world is this real estate podcast doing, having a plumber on? But we always said in our
I mean, it
podcast,
has
we
a lot
want
to do
to
with real
build
estate.
community.
Yep.
We want people who touch our industry.
That's right.
And Corey certainly does that.
For sure.
Even if it's not new construction, it's service-based work, obviously.
Does a great job at it.
But you also do, and I know you have with me, and
Mhm.
I don't know if you don't want to run or not, but you've helped me with home inspection stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's how we can
We'll
tie
be-
it in.
We will be soon, for sure.
That's how we can tie you into our careers, obviously. I mean, you're
Mhm.
plumber, residential real estate, we're residential real estate. There it is. There's a tie.
Yeah.
So what would you say people need to be on the lookout when they're buying a home? Do you suggest, because I have some people that say, I don't need this.
Mhm.
It's just an extra expense. Yeah, it is. But give your pitch for why people need plumbing inspections on
Absolutely. Yes.
on
So
home inspections.
yeah, so just let's start with home inspection. So nothing against home inspectors, but they don't have the equipment we do to check everything up underneath. And what I mean is the drain lines underneath the house,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which when it comes to something going wrong with your house, besides foundation work
Mhm.
and a roof, the plumbing system underneath is going to be your most expensive
Oh yeah.
repair cost or replacement cost if you had it. So yeah, so you get your home inspection, but just remember that the home inspector they don't have inspection cameras to look to see. In any house built before 1980, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have cast iron.
Mm-hmm.
Cast iron pipes will disintegrate over time. They're 40, 50, 60 years old. That cast iron just wears away. Kind of like a little mini Grand Canyon where the bottom of the pipe will just be gone. Oh. And you may not know it up front, even as a person that currently living in the house, the seller may not even know they're having issues. But yeah, as soon as the bottom of that pipe goes out, it's going to start leaking water. So like I said, any house before 1980, and really even in Mississippi, even if your house is newer than that, you really need a camera inspection. I've had a couple customers where their houses are 4 or 5 years old, where this Mississippi clay, it moves and shifts. And, if we have a drought for a month and a half like we did last year.
Oh my God.
I'll say this too. I show my buyers tons of houses that have foundation issues. Tons of foundation issues. Well, if you got moving slabs, that's where your pipes are at. Mm-hmm. And those slabs are moving a little bit here and there. Man, you're going to have something maybe broken. You don't know. So
absolutely.
To piggyback off what you're saying, and that's something that we see all the time, foundation problems.
Yes. And even on the flip side of that, you can have a foundation issue and may not have a plumbing issue. Right. But you want to get it checked out. And like I said, you could have, once again, a house that's 3 or 4 years old. Yeah. You could have, I've had many where it's separated underground, and it'll still flow, it'll still drain, but you're leaking water under your house. Well, you're causing a foundation issue if it's not fixed. Yeah. So definitely, if you are going to buy a house, always get it camera inspected. Yeah. I mean, we charge $300 to do single story houses.
Yeah. If you're buying a $300, $500, I don't care, $100,000 house, a $300 expense up front for peace of mind is worth it.
Absolutely.
And a huge transaction. Yeah.
Some of the biggest of what could turn into thousands of dollars of repair.
Oh yeah.
Oh, easily.
Thousands. Yeah. Easily. So $300 sounds amazing compared.
Yeah. It's just hard. We have. It's not always easy, and we deal with all kind of different buyers, and everybody's trying to save. Sellers are trying to make as much money as they can, and buyers are trying to hold on to as much money they can, and we all understand that. But the importance, every time I represent a buyer, I always say, when you get the home inspection, you need to consider a plumbing inspection too. And they go, why? And I'm like, well, because you don't know what you don't know, and the home inspector can't see. All they're going to do is fill up the sinks. Mm-hmm. They're going to run the water that's visible on the inside, see if there's a leak. See if there's anything. But they're not going under that infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And even because a lot of times the pipes might be flowing good, they might be intact, but you might have a belly. And bellies are legit in this.
They're almost just as bad. If you get a belly that's large enough, it's just the pipe dips, and then when it rises, it just holds that section of water. If you have one that's probably under 10 feet, you'll be fine. Yeah. I had a house about a year ago. I did a camera inspection on them. They had a 46-foot belly.
That's like all the way to the street.
Well, it was. So it was 2 bathrooms on one side and a bathroom on the other. And this master bathroom led over to the other 2, and it was the entire run was a massive belly.
So that's the one thing with me, like, and Tracy and I we're trying to gather our ducks in a row to get a house built. And it's a big undertaking. It's overwhelming almost. Especially for me. Right now, even being in real estate. I've never built a house before. Bought plenty. Yeah. Never built one. My biggest fear is having the foundation done right, the dirt work, and then having the plumbing and all the fall right. And I know it can't be perfect, but it needs to be dang near perfect as I can tell.
Absolutely.
So because those things are important, and you're right, at some point, it's not a matter of like if it happens, it's when. Every house in Mississippi is going to sell. Mm-hmm. And if there's one, I love our state. I've been born and raised here. I'm a advocate for Mississippi. I think we have a great little the scenery, pine trees, and we don't have mountains and this, that, and other. But we have a great spot.
We've loved living here.
People are super nice. My biggest thing is, I wish if I could change anything, it would be the soil and the subsoil.
Yeah.
I was like, please get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the importance of having, I will always pitch it when I'm working with buyers, but that's the importance. Y'all heard it. If you new realtors, if you're listening to this, even seasoned realtors or buyers and sellers that tune into our channel, please consider a plumbing inspection.
Absolutely.
It's a minimal expense
Absolutely.
to get surefire
It
assurance.
may save you thousands in the long run.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to do home inspections, you might as well be
Mhm.
satisfied with your home
Yeah,
inspections.
you're right, because it's going to be one of the largest purchases you'll make
Yeah.
in your life.
Not to mention, it's a really cool experience too. I got to sit there and watch.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I'm all about it. If
you
you want to
wanna-
watch, I have a little screen. You're more than welcome
You want
to
to know
watch
what's in
as
there?
we do it.
I mean, you might run across a little matchbox
You're gonna come
car
in one
or
day and
something.
say, "I'm going into plumbing too. I'm gonna be a realtor, photographer, and plumbing."
He just wants to play with the
I'm
camera.
gonna
That's
work-
what.
yeah, that's what it is.
I just wanna go-
working with Corey.
I just want to go see what he finds all in
Yeah.
people's
Hey,
pipes.
speaking of employees, how many are you up to now? Who you
So
still got
I-
Tyler?
Yep, I
Yeah.
still have Tyler. I have Lee, who's been with me for about 3 years,
Okay.
and then my brother-in-law works for me. His name's Landon. He's been with us for just right about a year.
So you got? Are you running 2 trucks now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So 3 guys. Yes,
You're
sir.
growing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
I know you probably everybody that's listening. If you, I mean, you'll see it now. If you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
you'll see the 3D plumbing truck with the trailer that has 3D all
Yep.
over it go down the road.
Yeah, it's hard to miss.
Yeah.
But it's a good one though. What would you say that your most, what's the best your best project as a plumber to work on? What's like I just love doing these.
What's his
every
favorite
time.
or-
yeah,
okay.
yeah, like when you get a call, you're like, yes, I love doing. This.
I love doing bathroom and kitchen. Well, not so much kitchen, but I love doing bathroom renovations. I love
Renovations.
kitchen renovations, but
Yeah.
kitchens are kind of set in stone. Your layout
Yeah.
is kind of what it is. You know, we don't really get much input.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a bathroom renovations, I have quite a few contractors who will kind of let me take charge when we have our initial meeting with the customer.
Okay.
And, you know, and not that I'm looking to design it for the customer, but I love being able to have my input in
Sure.
you know, how I would design their bathroom with the space given.
Yeah. It gives you,
So-
it's a kind of a creative.
It is. I get a lot
aspect
more
to it.
satisfaction building something. And like I said, we do service work. We do a lot of service work. But there's a different satisfaction to be like, okay, hey, now your sink works or now your toilet works. Going from that to this whole bathroom exists because of what we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
to me is
Yeah.
just to look back, and I love taking pictures after everything is done because we kind of get to do what I like to call all the pretty stuff.
Mhm.
You know, we're doing the freestanding tubs, we're doing the shower
Yeah,
trim
Yeah.
with the rain heads and the handhelds and the shower heads with the benches and all that. You know, we get to do that trim work, putting in the faucet, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we get, you know, I get to see the
That's
end
fun.
product,
Yeah.
and that's what I
Yeah.
love
You
to
get
do.
to see
Yeah.
the skeleton of it, and then the
Oh
the
yeah, and
exterior
it's
of it.
nice because, you know, like I said, going back to the customers, they'll have these great ideas of what they want,
Yeah.
but they don't always think about functionality
Mhm.
of a bathroom and how things should flow. So they've come in, and I've even had meetings with contractors, customers, where customers have had like designers and architects come in and actually draw bathrooms. But I'll come in and I'll be like, well, I see what you're doing here. Why don't we change it? It'll work a little
Right.
easier for the customer. And they don't always take my opinion, but a couple of them have.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to kind of be connected to that bathroom
cool.
to where like, yeah, we put this in, but this was my idea.
Yeah.
That's
It,
cool.
it makes you get a more sense of just accomplishment
an
when
art.
you're
Absolutely.
done. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
And
there's.
so and you've got a little bit of engineering background, I guess. You know, you went to school.
The
going to school
mechanical-
for
Mechanical engineering. Yeah, well, I wanted to
So-
be an architect, is what
so-
I kind of
I
wanted
did
to grow
too.
into. It.
At one point when I was a
So
kid, I was
that's-
like, I'm being an architect. Then then
So in
Anyway,
a cool way,
tell that
you get to
story later.
kind of tie in that a little bit
Oh, absolutely.
to what you were.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a little bit of engineering that goes into
For
plumbing.
sure. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there really is. Yeah, anybody can just throw pipes in the wall, but making
Right.
it work to its best ability is.
I don't know if anybody can just throw pipes in the wall.
Can and should is
No,
probably too.
They did it on my house.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Well, that leads me into another follow-up question, but I want to hit this one first since we're talking about homeowners inspections, whatever. So he likes doing bathroom remodels. That's fantastic, and I know you do a great job of that. Too. So, but with new homeowners, like, what's the most expensive ordeal you've come around? Somebody's like, I just bought this house and I have this crazy thing that happened. Have you run into anything where like, oh boy?
Yeah, I've had
we gotta come in here
to go back to what we were just talking about. I've had customers where they've been in their house for 2 weeks or a month, and their bathroom backs up.
Yep.
And lo and behold, broken pipe. And so brand new house, and then we gotta tear up their kitchen or their bathroom.
That'll hurt your feelings.
That's typically the worst. Yeah,
that ties back in to get the plumbing inspection.
It does. Yeah, I didn't mean to bring us back, but that's typically the biggest thing. Is I actually had a customer last week where they called me and they had been in the house 4 days.
Wow.
4 days. And they let the tub drain out. They let the tub drain out with water after their son took a bath, and it flooded the bathroom behind it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's not just like, we'll clean this water up. That can be like a wall. You can get
it was a whole restoration.
That's calling in the guys that bring the fans, cut up and sheetrock.
Sucking all the water out. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
We just ran away all our buyers that are listening.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid of the house. Just get the plumbing inspection.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. What we find in real estate too, there's always going to be some kind of issues. It's just a matter of how bad they are or how simple of a fix they are. Because majority of our buyers, I mean, you're buying older houses. We deal with. Unless you're buying new construction, I mean, these houses have been lived in. I got one going right now that's 15 plus years old. And it's going to have issues. We just need to decide if it's something that we can live with and work with and clean and fix and move on or not. So
I like to say, especially for older houses, when I have customers that have had drain line issues or even like a water heater that's 10, 15 years old, I like to tell customers jokingly, somebody got their money's worth out of this thing. Unfortunately, it wasn't you, but somebody's got their money's worth.
That's right. That's right.
These 40, 50-year-old houses that never had any issues up until a year ago, somebody got their money's worth out.
For sure. For sure.
The preventive maintenance, in my opinion, is huge.
Absolutely. Yes, that can make a big difference.
I was thinking about this just last night because I've fortunately got several real estate deals going right now, and then we see houses all the time, and sometimes I just want to tell people, like, when you buy this house, like, don't just like never take care of it because buying houses are great and they're a great investment, but they can also get super expensive. But then on the flip side, when you're ready to sell and you're back in the position of this seller that we're dealing with, you're going to be in the same boat, and you're going to have a buyer that was asking you to do all these.
You're going to end up having to do the repairs anyway.
Right. So if you do preventive maintenance, make sure your hot water tanks are up to date. I mean, what is that? You've done several for me. $1,200, $1,500. I don't know. Depending on the tank size.
Roughly $1,500.
Yeah,
for a tank.
I know some tanks, depending on if they're upstairs, and I know there can be things where you have to widen up, whatever. I know there's other things it can be, but on a basic, for most of them, they're fairly easy for you guys to get up there.
Absolutely.
But you're talking in the grand scheme of things. For years that you have this house, like updating the hot water tank or making sure. HVAC, the drain out are clear.
The condensate drain, yes.
I mean, these little things. That's just on the plumbing side, because houses are bright, shiny new. Even the newer ones are 5, 10 years, whatever. But they do get old and they need maintenance, and wood needs to be replaced, and whatever it may be. So, I was just thinking about that with all these deals because we get in these negotiations, and I'm just like, man. And I know everybody gets busy. I'm guilty too, but we need to take better care of our homes. We need to be more prideful of the homes we have.
So, and really just growing. I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
I say growing knowledge as a homeowner of what that even looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a lot of customers that buy newer houses that have the tankless water heater.
Yes.
Well, a lot of people don't know when you have a tankless, you have to get it yearly maintenance, and people just don't know that because like I said, if you've never had one before and you're buying a house that has one, well, nobody's holding your hand saying this is what you have to do.
We got we need arts and
you need.
Oh, well,
I'm
you
sitting
just
there
got an
going,
appointment this afternoon.
But yeah, so I'll come to people's houses for something
We need to get on
completely
your schedule.
different, and I'll just happen to see a tankless, and I'll be like, "Hey, when's the last time you've had it descaled?" Is what it's called. And they're like, "Well, I don't even know what that is."
Yeah.
So then I have to go in and tell them, "Listen, you're supposed to get it done. Manufacturer recommendation every year. Well, you can destroy a tankless if you don't,
And they can bust too.
and they can bust. They can
I think
freeze.
there's a misconception.
Absolutely.
And I've seen where they're put on an exterior wall and that insulator, right? And they're like, that's going to bust. They can freeze. And,
Oh yeah, all of the ones on the
Yeah,
outside of the
yeah.
house. Absolutely.
So, okay, this is a great question. In your professional opinion,
Okay.
tankless or tank? If Corey Rogers was building a house today,
Tankless.
you're going tankless.
100%.
Where are you putting the tankless water heater at in your house?
I personally would not put it on the outside of the house.
Okay.
The reason for that is you are stuck with that model.
Yeah.
Basically, there might be one or two models that will fit. The issue is the box that they go in are typically proprietary to that make and model tankless. Well, say you start out and you have just you and your wife.
Yeah.
You build a house. Yeah, you're gonna get a tankless that's suitable for your house. But you go from you and your wife to me. I have 5 kids. That's a lot more showers, a lot more hot water.
Oh, yeah.
People wanting to use the hot water at the same time. Your tankless could potentially not be large enough for your house anymore.
Oh, so you're saying they can run out of hot water?
Well, so you're not going to run out of hot water, but
Okay.
you will max out your tankless. So they're all
Okay.
based on gallons per minute, and
Okay.
it's based on your usage.
Yeah.
So it won't take you out of hot water, but it will cut your pressure down. So it's not really a huge inconvenience, but like I said, you are stuck. Or if you get a lot of home builders in the area, they like one of 2 brands, either Norris or Rinnai tankless water heaters. That's what they put in for their new builds. Well, say you end up not liking that brand for whatever reason. If you have an exterior tankless, you're kind of stuck with those brands. Those are the only ones that will fit in that box. So me personally, to go back to your original question, if I was going to build a house, I would put it up in the attic, make sure you have a good drain pan to catch, and I'd probably put an automatic shutoff valve on the water heater. That way, if a leak is detected, it shuts it off. You're not dumping water down onto your ceiling. Personally, that's what I would do. Make sure your pipes are
So
insulated.
still put it up in the attic.
If you,
That's where
so
ours is, too.
ideally, yeah. I mean, if you have a space for it on ground level, then not a bad idea either. But I personally don't mind them up in the attic as long as it's well protected.
Okay.
Most tankless water heaters nowadays will come with like anti-freeze devices inside the tankless, to where if the water temp gets to like 34 degrees, it'll kick itself on to keep itself from freezing.
That's fantastic.
Well, if you lose power, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
That unfortunately happened in a neighborhood right down the street from here last year.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons regardless of where you put it at.
Yeah.
But if you are building a house where you don't just have a storage closet you can put a tankless, then up in the attic, in my opinion, is not.
Off an exterior wall.
Yes, keep it
Ours
off.
is up
Absolutely.
in the attic, and I made sure that they have plenty of space when I built the house. I actually built our house, but I made sure that we had space all the way around it, and where it's in a spot where we can change it out if it ever needs
your
to be.
attic is wide open.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got a huge drain pan underneath it running out, so if it ever does leak, it'll go right on
Just
out.
got to get Corey over there to service it.
Yes, we do. We do. For sure.
Had it for 2 years, haven't been serviced yet.
But yeah, so yeah, as far as like I said,
but I didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's not something you think
Oh, we're
about.
learning a lot. This has been great.
Absolutely.
We're learning a lot
Absolutely.
about
I hope
this
our
stuff.
listeners will learn a lot too.
there you go. But yeah, with a tankless compared to a tank, you're going to get that 40, 50 gallons in a tank. You'll deplete that in a soaker tub.
Oh,
So with a tankless, it's never ending hot water. It's not an instant hot water. It's never ending hot water. And it's a consistent temp. And I'm sure if you ever had a house with a tank, you're taking a shower and you keep on having to turn the handle. Like, I need more hot water. I need more hot water. Because as it runs out, that cold water comes in. With a tankless, that eliminates it. So just to piggyback on my answer, that's
just about every evening when my kids decide to jump in before me, and I'm like, man, it's going to be a cool one. But summertime now, so I don't care.
You won't have to
in the
worry
wintertime,
about
it's
that.
different.
yeah, you're not doing like a shower schedule.
No.
When you have a tankless, you just jump in.
I guess
Everybody
I
gets
asked that
it.
more for my benefit since I'm like,
Well, that's fair. And also, so, you guys are real estate agents, housing market. Home Advisor did a study from, I believe, 2016 to 2018. And they found that on average, houses that are the same footprint, same amenities, ones that have tankless compared to a tank, on average sold between 3 to 5% more.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, same size, same everything. Could be the same neighborhood. Yeah. So yeah, it's a couple $1,000s to put in a tankless if you could go from a tank to a tankless.
I was about to ask that. What's the cost difference if you tank to tankless?
Yeah, so there's a couple different factors that go into play, but if you already have a tank and we convert it from a tank to a tankless, it's roughly, depending on material that's needed, about $3,500, $3,500 to $4,000. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's a couple different factors. Some houses, they have 2 tanks where you have the ability to go from 2 tanks to 1 giant tankless. In a case like that, you probably be $4,500.
Yeah.
Just because the tankless is going to be more, we'd have to do a lot more material to disconnect this other tank and run it over.
Right.
So it's a investment up front. But like I said, if you don't think you're going to be in your house for a long time, then like I said, on the back end, when you go to sell it, everybody wants a tankless. They're extremely sought after, especially in our area.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah, that's fantastic news.
Highly,
that's great.
As someone who has one, highly recommended. I grew up with the tank water heaters or whatever, but man, it's just.
I get jealous of them. I've showered. You know, my
should
family has. Yeah, I've stayed with family and they have them. And I come back to my tank. I'm like, dadgummit.
Well, because there's no worry. You turn it on, you're going to have hot water.
But I think there is a misconception that
it's not immediate.
Yeah, it is not instant. It is not instant water. Now the
still,
time difference in my experience is really only about a 5-second difference as far as delay from a tank. Yes, but on the flip side of that, there's about a 30% reduction cost every month in gas, because in the tank,
so they're more efficient.
Extremely more efficient. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So on a tank, you get about 80% efficiency rating. Which means about 80% of the heat that gets put out from the tankless burner, or the tank burner, if it's gas, you only get about 80% of that heat to your fixture. On a tankless, they range from 93 to 96% efficiency, maybe vary a little bit, but around 95, 96%. The difference is on a tank, that water is being heated 24/7, whether you're using it or not. On a tankless, it only makes hot water when you call for it. There's a flow sensor, and as soon as it kicks on, that's why there's a couple extra second delay, because it has to make the hot water for you.
I got you.
And that's what I was bringing up earlier about you can max out your water heater.
Yeah.
There's a flow rate, that gallons per minute that a tankless will give you, and that's because it has to have time to make that hot water.
Yeah. I've got a question real quick about my house where my tank is. Well, I got you here.
Since I'm here, yeah.
Everybody. There's probably a lot of people that may have this question. So our tankless is right above our kitchen sink. Sarah, you know where I'm going with this. Long story short is that it takes so long. Like you would think with the hot water tank or tankless hot water heater right there, and our sink being here in the kitchen, that you would turn it on. It would be fairly.
Your plumber ran that line, that PEX line, all around.
It probably goes all the way.
And
all the way back over here.
So the thing is,
can fix that.
Yes, you have to figure out, like he said, where your line is ran, because although your tankless is right here,
turn it on and walk away for a minute and just wait on it.
Well, yeah, because I imagine the hot water from your tankless doesn't just go straight down. It has to go to a manifold, and then it'll split out. So what you think might only be a 15-foot run, it's probably about a 40 to 50-foot run. Okay. Well, and the issue is, if you're not using that hot water, that water line's still full, but then it gets cold. So you're having to push out the 40 to 50 feet of cold water before you get the hot water.
I figured that would be your answer.
Unfortunately,
adding his invoice, man. You keep asking
But there are tankless water heaters that can actually eliminate that.
I think there's smaller ones now that you're probably going to get in this, that you can put underneath.
Yeah, well, so you have they call them point of use.
Okay.
And they sit right. That's kind of more your instant hot water heaters.
So there you go. Think about that too for your. Yeah.
They have those. A lot of people have those at their kitchen sink. They'll have a little baby faucet where they want to fill up like tea, and that is instant hot water. But that is just point of use. Amazing. They're typically only rated for up to about a gallon of water. But they make large, whole house tankless water heaters that have little recirculation kits that you can hook up to that sink. And what it does is it periodically throughout the day will recirculate hot water through that fixture That way, that 50 feet of what's normally not stagnant,
Cooler
but
water.
cooler
It's
water
sat there and been cool.
will be on the warmer side, so you'll get hot water much faster. But unfortunately, at your house, you would have to swap your entire tankless to do it.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Yes.
I'm getting a hard head shake over here from the producer.
Another way to change that, you could always check your flow rate at that sink faucet. Because the higher the flow rate, the faster you're getting out that stagnant
Cooler
water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's another way to get one with a larger gallon per minute.
I appreciate
Man knows
that.
what he's talking about.
Ain't no doubt. Yeah.
Man knows what he's
Yeah.
talking about.
Ain't
Do you
no doubt.
support DIY plumbing projects? I got to throw my wife in here.
Oh, don't be mean. I do, as long as you, as a DIYer, can recognize your limitations.
Yeah. Well, I think we recognize those.
Yes, that's fair.
I tell her I'm picking on her, but like Tracy and I, we have rental properties and we flip some or whatever, and she loves. We yin and yang on this. I want project managed, and she wants to get her hands dirty, which I respect.
Absolutely.
I think after the third plumbing issue that we had after she put her hands on it, she looked at it, she's like, I don't think I'm a very good plumber. I was like, she goes, I'll concede it now. I was like, so
Yeah.
I always just kind of pick on her about that. Corey actually helped us out. That flip house we had over in Northgate, and it was a huge, you talk about, man, I was so panicked about all this stuff. I think the lines are actually, I don't know, did we have a break over there? We had, you saw the foundation.
Oh, yeah.
We had a big lift. I'm thinking there's no way any of
no.
these lines are staying together under this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, you get a little bit of flexibility. And I believe that house kind of floated around that 1980 timeline. Was that the one with the
maybe.
big front porch?
No. This one was up on the hill of Northgate.
Oh, yeah, over Madison.
I think it was more in the 90s, mid-90s.
Yeah, so that was
built.
all PVC pipe.
Yeah, so luckily we were PVC.
Yeah, so PVC has a little more flex. Cast iron is rigid. You can get a little bit of flex.
I think I got lucky with you, and you're like, I think all you helped us do was like get fixtures and
a little gas line.
A gas line issue, and I think some toilets. And I was like,
Yeah.
that was a win, because I thought when we lifted that house,
especially on the hill. Yeah, no, you guys were fine.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess most people are using PEX for pipe these days. Does it have more flexibility than PVC?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Wait, they're using PEX for like the
water lines?
the toilet, like
No.
no,
We're still
no.
using PVC for sewer
okay.
lines.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
No, he jumped to water. No,
I'm sorry.
you're
sorry.
good.
My bad.
But yes, PEX is PEX. You could take PEX and roll it in a
Okay.
ball. Absolutely, it's extremely resilient. We prefer PEX typically, mainly because it's a heck of a lot cheaper than copper. Nobody wants to pay for copper piping
No.
nowadays.
Yeah.
It's about 5 times more expensive, if not more, to go copper.
Wow.
As opposed to PEX. But PEX is, it's very flexible. And so there's 2 different types of PEX, and I'm not going to go into them, but they have the ability to expand. And both types of PEX has the ability to do that. One is, it's called PEX A, and it's actually typically used for expansive fittings. So it's designed to expand. And the reason I bring that up is a lot of newer houses, almost every newer house is going to be ran in PEX, and your water lines are going to be in the attic. All the older houses, it's all copper and it's under the house. So it's not really affected by weather. Well, with PEX being in the attic, super hot, super cold, they'll freeze. Well, the PEX being expansive will just expand out when it freezes. Now, they don't always go back together, but it's a lot less likely to bust because you get a little bit of play.
Yeah. So when it gets hot, it kind of goes back.
Yeah, exactly. Once it thaws out, that little, and it basically just bubbles out.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, once it thaws, it'll go back to place. You'll never even know,
Wow.
unless you try to run that sink faucet or whatever, and you just don't have water.
Yeah.
So it's a much more durable product. It has been around for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
We've only been using it in America for, I think, roughly 20 years. Don't quote me on that. I think it's about 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
They've
we're
been-
gonna quote you on it.
They've been using it. They've been using it overseas, I think, since the 60s, 70s.
Wow.
America's typically a little slower on getting stuff, but no, it's a great product. It's super easy to put in. For DIYers, it's a lot easier.
Nope,
it
we
just
won't do that.
takes. No,
We won't
that's
do
fine.
This is a little bit off. I'm not going to go too far in this rabbit hole, but interesting fact about post-tension concrete slabs. It was invented by Hitler.
Where did that come from?
Isn't that crazy? Well, pipes and concrete.
Okay.
All right, I can see it. All
Pipes
right.
and the concrete and the slabs and everything.
Invented by Hitler.
That was,
Was there a
With
reason?
his engineers that were creating roads during World War II.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so sorry, brain fart there for a second. But yeah, during World War II, so they needed the concrete when they were building roads for his big tanks and things
Yeah.
like that to go across.
Oh, I guess they gave.
They
a little
needed
bit.
they needed them to move and go back.
Yeah.
And so that's where
Road
the
tension.
Interesting.
Streets.
Okay.
little
That's
useless
crazy.
information.
No,
for
that makes sense
you. But
though.
yep, that's where we got the idea
We
from.
appreciate
and where
the
it came
historical
from.
fact of
So
the day.
there you go.
Yeah.
You can tighten your slabs back up and try
Yeah.
to get them straight.
That's
there you go.
pretty interesting. I know it's extremely dangerous if you hit one.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What the
Pop.
coat?
They'll
The
pop.
post
They
tension?
can
Wow.
explode. They're
Oh,
very
yes.
tightly.
Yeah, I've heard
Wow.
that too. Like with the. I hope.
I'm sure that's another. We could go on a rabbit hole
Well,
with that.
Oh,
too. I'm sure you run
absolutely
into
could.
those.
Yes, we've had
So-
a couple houses where the post tension is like right in the way, especially when we're doing like renovations or like additions, and they want to move a tub from here to here. I'm like, when we get down to it, and there's cross section of post tension.
Yep.
They're like, "Oh, can you move it?" And I was like, "No, no.
right?
Trust me, you don't want me to. You won't have this half,
Yeah.
this half of the house.
I like my
anymore."
leg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like my
leg.
leg. Absolutely,
Yeah, that's a whole.
because
nother-
it'll
Yeah.
pop up out of the concrete.
Yeah, that's.
A lot of tensile strength.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those things are.
Insane.
That's a whole nother. That's
I-
a whole.
I
We'll
didn't
get a
mean to-
foundation.
I didn't
guy
mean
in
to
here
get
and-
into a
and
whole
learn
nother
about post
aspect.
tension. Not yeah.
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 I didn't mean to get into a whole nother
No,
thing
that's
there,
great.
but it's some cool information and things to
Yeah.
think about too.
It
I
is
love
something, yeah, you run into it every
For
now and
sure.
then. Absolutely.
Corey Rogers, the family man, having babies in his house,
5
entrepreneur,
kids.
3D plumbing, and killing it.
Thank you.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
I
I know one of the things you like
I
to do
do
because you
too.
post it on Facebook all the time.
What is that?
Well, you tell me what you like, and we'll see if we
Oh,
can.
I enjoy going hunting.
Yep.
I try to, it's funny, as I used to be a game warden.
Yeah.
I was not a hunter when I was
What?
a game warden. Just
Wow.
didn't do it. My
Writing
dad.
them tickets to hunters, but wasn't hunting.
Yeah.
No, wasn't hunting.
Yeah.
My dad didn't really grow up hunting.
Yep.
Well, he did as like a younger kid, but
Yeah.
never really took me hunting.
Yeah.
Tyler get you into that? Who got you
I
into
always
deer
kind
hunting?
of had a
Yeah.
desire to want to go.
Yeah.
Just growing up, we just, like I said, my dad didn't do it. We didn't have the money to there wasn't even a gun in our house. I
Yeah.
just didn't have rifles, shotguns to go hunting.
Sure.
But it was always a desire of mine to do that. And I only just started hunting right before I moved to Mississippi.
Yeah.
So I'm still
Well, the
I'm
hunting-
still a newer hunter for sure.
Yeah.
I learn every time I go out.
I would speculate the hunting's better here than it is in Florida.
Well, absolutely.
Unless you're hunting alligators.
Yeah, unless
Unless you're hunting alligators,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I did fishing growing up. I still
Oh,
wasn't
sh-
good at fishing,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I like to go hunting.
Yeah.
I like to go to concerts. It's a little different here. Growing up
Yeah.
in Florida, there's so many
Yeah.
more venues, but
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Mississippi, the
Brandon
Brandon Amphitheater
has helped
is
a ton.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
It's a
that
cool
venue.
It's been
venue.
a
It
cool
is.
spot.
There's no bad seat.
No.
And the amenities, like you can go get food or drinks easily. The bathrooms are in and out
it's-
quick.
I love
The
it.
I
only
do too.
downfall is there's no cooler seat in the summertime.
No, it's hot. You
Yes.
go. You prepare.
Well, and
to
you
be-
face the sun too
Oh,
when it's
yeah, when it's
setting, so
coming
that's the
down.
only
Yeah.
downside.
That's true.
But it's a
Just
wonderful
making
venue. I mean, I was there
Yeah,
last
that's
week for a concert, and
Yeah.
it's fun, fantastic. So I like doing that. Hang a lot with the kids. It's hard
Yeah.
to get away from 5 kids, so
Yeah.
we do a lot of that. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
No worries.
Well, and you probably don't want to. I mean, that's your family. You
Oh,
want to spend
absolutely.
time with them and
Yes.
hang out with them. And
Yes,
you
and
know.
it's hard when you're, like the last week I was sitting on the couch and I was exhausted. We just had our baby, and my little 2-year-old girl came in. I was just trying to, not fall asleep.
Yeah.
My 2-year-old came up and she was like, "Daddy, do you want to come play with me?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't say no to that." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Absolutely." So let's go play.
yeah.
But yeah, so I just I like being outside. I have our little neighborhood has a massive cul-de-sac. I have a
Just
little
let 'em run
mini
crazy.
bike motorcycle that I
Oh,
like to
gosh.
ride around the mini bike, and I got my oldest
I could
daughter's
see you on a
10.
little motorbike.
Oh yeah, so we got her a little mini bike, so we cruise around the cul-de-sac neighborhood.
You hadn't hit it yet.
I don't think I have. I can tell by the look on your face. I'm
Oh,
missing it.
You're into shooting guns too.
Oh
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's probably the
Well,
hunting side.
he probably connected with hunting. I heard we didn't really have that many guns growing up, and now I got into hunting. I was like, he's getting there. But you've gotten kind of into, I don't know, do y'all do competitions?
So I have done so you mentioned Tyler works for me. So Tyler is a firearms instructor.
Yes.
But he does firearm competitions. He does pistol and rifle competitions. So he took me to one last year. Yeah. Doing a pistol competition, and it was phenomenal.
That's cool, huh?
Very cool. It's like the most fun and most stress you can have at one time. Because it was the ones where you're not just standing there, shooting. You're going around targets and going around what they make of walls and stuff, and it's time. So you're running, trying not to shoot you or anything else. And
oh man,
it's a ton of fun. A ton of fun.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. But the hunting, I can see hunting connected to that. You got a lot of good hobbies, man. So you got a good. It seems like you got a good balance, man.
I try. Awesome. Yeah, I try to have something, as a dad, you obviously want to spend as much time with your kids as possible.
Yes, for sure.
But you don't want to lose yourself as a dad. So I try to have hobbies that don't drag me away from the family all the time. Like even during hunting season, I'll go like on Saturdays. Yeah. But I won't go Saturday and Sunday unless there's like I see something on camera and I'm like, I got to be there. Yeah, but most of the time, I'm a weekend warrior. During the rut's a little different, absolutely. But like I said, I'm a weekend warrior on hunting.
Most of us are.
But I don't typically take off a lot of work days to go.
Well, when you're running your own business,
it's hard. It's hard. And even when I'm, on those Saturdays when I'm sitting in the tree stand, my phone's going off. And
you think you get away from it. I've done that too. And in real estate, if you don't have a deal going, you can relax from a little bit. But in insurance, I'll be up in the stand and I'll have somebody. It's always like I'm thinking my Friday's been quiet. I'll leave early. And then Friday at like 3, like when you first get in the stand to almost dark, it's just like, hey, I need to add this vehicle. Hey, I just had a wreck. Hey, I'm buying I'm like, why is it in the last 3? And you're in this tree and I'm like, get to it on Monday. I'm sorry. Or call the office. You know what I mean? Like, so you're right. It's hard for us. I mean, we're obviously, we're self-employed and then you are too. So it's hard to get away from it sometimes, even if you try to schedule it out. So, yes. But so I commend anybody who you need your personal time too.
Yes. And my older daughter, she's starting to get interested in shooting and going hunting. So like she has her own little baby 22 rifle and I just bought her a little 22 pistol. So I take her to the range. I like going to the shooting range, go up to Turcotte, just wide, outdoor range.
Sure. Yeah. That's fun.
So like last season, or maybe it was 2 seasons ago, I actually took her deer hunting one time we had a chance to go. And it's a process to get them into it.
Yeah, it's a process taking a kid, period. Yeah. But it's fun. I don't think
you just gotta go not expecting to shoot anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything is gonna hear you.
Times, you just go in and
you're gonna stay about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You're gonna spend 10 minutes setting up. I'm hungry. And then you're gonna be in there 10 minutes. You're gonna take 10 minutes getting unset up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But she did great. She had little baby binoculars, and she was looking. I think this is probably 2 seasons ago. So she was 8. Yeah. So she's looking around, especially when the sun came up, and she was like, "I see a deer! I see a deer!" And I'm like, "That's a bush. That's okay.
That's okay.
It's a deer. Keep watching. It might be right. It might be a deer.
Turn into a deer."
So it kind of helped make things last longer when she was kind of doing that. She kept looking around, and she ended up actually seeing a deer, and it was archery season, so it was 300 yards away. And I was like, I'm not even going to try to call her in, but that's okay.
No, that's awesome. We'll keep doing that, man. Kids, I think they getting into hunting
more
fishing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So cool.
Sure. They need to climb trees, go hunting.
Yeah. Oh, I tell them all the time, go out,
get dirt under the finger.
Get off of the electronics and go be outside. Go play in the dirt.
Yep, I agree.
100%.
Well,
all right. Well, I think.
Where can people, before we get out of here, tell people how they can find you, plug your business, plug away. We're in this to help support you as well, and we appreciate your time being on here with us.
No, thank you guys for having me.
So plug away, man.
Blast. Yeah, so we are on Facebook. It's 3D Plumbing Mississippi. We have a website. It's 3dplumbingms.com. We are also on BBB website. We're a BBB accredited company, so you can go on there. There's reviews. You can call me. Number is 601-910-5154.
Wow, he's not afraid to get the number away.
He said plug the business.
Yeah, plug it.
Yeah. So that's typically the 3 biggest ways people find us.
We'll be tagging you in all of our stuff too
Yeah.
when it comes out on our. It'll be next week before it comes out, but
Yeah.
it'll come out on our podcast page.
Yep.
Be plugging you on
We'll
there. So
share it away.
So when you watch that, you can get on there and click on his page and go to his Facebook. Make sure you go and like and all the things
Thank you.
and follow his stuff because Corey, you really are a great guy. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
wouldn't ask you to be on here if we didn't believe in you
Yeah.
and your business.
We appreciate all the fun
And-
stuff you've done for us.
Yep.
Man, for sure.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
been great.
Thank you, thank
Appreciate
you.
you very much.
Yes. Like I said, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Been
man.
a pleasure
It's
being on
fun.
here,
Yeah.
yeah.
Learn more about you today. That's awesome.
All
Get
right,
us out of here,
I'll
dude.
take us out. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I hope you learned some things about plumbing, about 3D plumbing, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see y'all next time. God bless.